Halftime. Full time. Extra time. Debonair's Pizza. Try something amazing.
Welcome to another episode of On the Couch with Kickoff, brought to you by Debonair's Pizza. Today I've got Zola Doda, big fan of Italian football, and Fabio Di Dominicus, a big Italian football fan, on the couch with me. We're going to discuss mainly, I think, Kaizer Chiefs and Orlando Pirates transfer deals this week. They've both had big announcements. People are starting to call Chiefs FC press conference because of the conferences they are calling to announce their various signings week after week. Kickoff.com editor Ryan Cooper said yesterday in an article online that he was left feeling underwhelmed by the signings Kaizer Chiefs made. Then Pirates came with a couple of signings of their own. Maybe it's because they didn't make as much noise, but people didn't say they were underwhelmed. But if I look at the list, there's not that many big names in the Pirates list.
There's not that many, but I think the Pirates signings are based on reinforcement because the team didn't have an off season. Their players were just playing right through from last season, and these signings are based on the fact that they'll play right through until the end of this coming season. So if you look at the kind of players that they've signed a player from Baroka Motupa. They've also signed Ndoro, who they've been linked with for the last 18 months.
He's a good striker.
He's a good striker, exactly. So he's going to add more firepower up front next to Kemet Erasmus as well as Leonor Majoro, and then you also have Lennox Bakela. So I think they have a good number of players who can play up front, who can play until the end of the season.
So you're saying a stronger squad for the rigours of CAF competition and then the various South African competitions.
Definitely.
What do we know about the goalie that we were reporting months ago? He was going to be signed at last. He was spotted at the airport earlier this week. Philippe Ovono. We impressed people in January.
We reported that in March already, that he's going to sign a 3-year contract with Pirates, and we've proven to be true. I think it's also good because, I mean, look at the goalkeepers that I've had. They have the young Brighton Hlongo. They also have the goalkeeper from Platinum Stars, Bonchane as well. So I think Bonchane is not a proven goalkeeper with the Pirates standard. So I think the goalkeeper is a good addition to the squad.
So you're expecting Ovono perhaps to become the first choice keeper?
I do expect him to compete with Mhlongo. I'm not really impressed with Bonchane. Bonchane is going to provide a good backup for the two of them. But I think the number one spot is going to be between Mhlongo as well as Ovono.
And Fabio, what about Chiefs? They unveiled a lot of names yesterday. Some we were expecting, like Kodosa.
Of course.
Welcome back, Keegan Ritchie.
Yeah. That's
so that's kind of a signing. Lucky Beloy, hello, kind of a signing. Sianda Kulu, interesting one. He was one of the most hyped up young defenders a few years ago. A lot was expected of him. He left Sundowns, went to Russia, had a tough time. The issue of the racist coach, various other unhappy episodes, I think, in his 3 years there, and he hasn't had a lot of game time.
Exactly, yeah.
And then Bongani and Delula, who we've been waiting for a while.
Yeah, going back to Kulu, I think he comes in under a lot of pressure, I think, because many will see him as a direct replacement for Tefu. And like we said, he hasn't played that much with the Russian off-season and not being a regular there. So I think apart from being at a big club, there's added pressure filling in, the PSL football of the season that he has to replace. Onto Ndulula, again, I don't see him as a starting player at Chiefs. I think it's just more of a backup player, and like we discussed yesterday, it's more underwhelming signings that Chiefs are looking to defend their title, but no real big names. And also on a poll on Kickoff.com between the fans and what they thought about the signings, many saw Ndoro as a better option for Pirates than in comparison to Ndulula at Chiefs.
Well, I tipped Ndoro to be top scorer last season. I got that wrong, but I really think he's got something in him. He's a direct striker, and I think there's goals in him. Ndulula, I think he's also seen as someone who can play as a target man, which is what Baxter preferred. Of course, it's a different coach now, and Steve Compella. If you were Steve, it looks like you've lost the spine. Okay, there's rumours Kune might reconcile. There's still, is Tefu signing for Sundowns or not? They've lost two key spinal players, it looks like, and the breakout midfielder from last season, Sanga. Even though he had been there for many years, that was his season. You, Steve, people want to expect a follow-on. Baxter got two titles in 3 years. Steve's under pressure. would you feel I want to reinforce a little more? I need to speak to the Matong family. I need a bit more. What do you think his feeling would be?
I think, in my opinion, they need to add one more striker because, I mean, by the look of things now, Parker should be their main striker. Parker should play up front with George Lebes as well as Sipiwa Chabalala. Because for me, Ndulula is not that kind of a player that's going to bring goals for them. And it's not the kind of a player who's going to be laying off balls to the midfielders to score. Someone like Nkata did last season. And the pressure that is going to come from Kaizer Chiefs supporters is going to be enormous. So it's interesting to see how he's going to cope with that pressure. But I still think he needs to sign one more player.
Itu, I think his biggest problem is his hope, and that's why I signed with Rooney's agency, the agency that's run by Paul Stretford, a very famous agent in the UK, to try and get that much longed for European move. But we know that African goalkeepers have to just work that much harder to convince European clubs. Also, a goalkeeper is a goalkeeper is a goalkeeper. If you're a left-sided player, you could play left wing back, left wing. You know, you can fit in other places. You have potentially more value to add in different positions. A goalie, you're signing a guy for one position, so there's a lot less room for goalies. And I just don't see a club that would pay the kind of money Itu wants being there for him. Exactly. You know, Arsenal are signing Peter Cech, not Itu Kune. He can go to Belgium, Norway, where Emile Baron played, lower level German teams where Rowan Fernandez played, but is Itu going to get a big move with big money? I'm not sure.
His only foot in the door would probably be through Baxter at the Turkish club, and they were quite saying that the president was worried about their goalkeeping department, which could have a shoe in the door for Kune, but like you're saying, I don't think he quite makes the grade there.
You know, Itu's fantastic in many ways, but I think his one glaring weakness, one that many of our keepers have, is aerial. Even arguably our best keeper, Andre Aronson, got to move to England. Not that strong upper body, get whacked in the air. He struggled to hold down places in low division England teams. You know, he was often on the bench. And some of it's a perception as well. It's maybe even quite racist, but African keepers really struggle. We've got Nigeria's keeper doing well in France. A number of Cameroonians have really made their name in Spain. Beyond that, African keepers have never had a good rep in Europe.
Look, I think Europe is good. I think they have an oversupply of good goalkeepers. And they rarely go to Africa to sign goalkeepers. Previously, they've signed Jacques Songo from Cameroon. They've signed Carlos Kameni when he was 16.
Antoine Bell.
They've signed very few goalkeepers. The only players that they look for the positions are midfielders as well as strikers up front.
Creativity.
Exactly. So
the
I
muscle
think
man.
for Kune, the only realistic chance he has of going overseas is to joining Stuart Baxter and take it.
But that's not all, guys. New Kickoff edition. More work for you on your couches. This is a great edition. We pay tribute to 21 Disky Kings through the eras. A lot of hard work and research by Zola. We have 3 Tabos on the cover, all with supreme skills. Mr. Mwaki, Mr. Mgomeni, young Tabo Rakali. All we're missing is the former president of the Republic. But it's Tabo plus a lot of Disky, guys. Don't miss this edition. And you can also hear how Nyanga says he's not at all worried by the arrival of Itu Kune, should it happen. Thanks to Debonair for making all this possible. See you next time.
Halftime. Full time. Extra time. Debonair's Pizza. Try something amazing.